Hey, this is Passy from Passy's World of ICT, the guy with the white hat. And even though human cloning is illegal, we can do it in Photoshop and have identical twins. That's one of the many fun things we're going to learn in this lesson, learning about the clone stamp copy paste tool, which is one of our most favorite and most used tools in Photoshop. So if we've taken a picture like this one of sand sculptures and there's all this nighttime lighting and things cluttering it all up, we can clean it all up with the clone stamp and then crop it and have this much better picture. So that's one lesson, getting rid of background objects, and that's the same sort of thing here. This female singer has some white lights above here and these are a little crooked, and so we can straighten them up, get rid of the white lights, and also do some skin fixing on her arm. And here we've got nightlife photos with a flash, often need retouching, and the easiest and quickest way to do it is with a clone stamp, especially for these white kind of areas where the flash is highly reflected off the makeup there. We can fix all that and get rid of distractions in the background. This girl's got Aladdin's lamp growing out of her head, so we need to fix all that. And also photo bombers. Now, we do have some photobomb photos from when we were doing nightlife photography for a while, but they're on a drive from about 4 years ago and I couldn't find them. So I just got this one off the internet of Ellen DeGeneres, the US celebrity. And yeah, she was getting photobombed by Kelly Clarkson here at some country music awards or something. And so yeah, we can clean all that up and get rid of these background distractions and get rid of the photo bomber and end up with this nicer photo here. So this lesson is basically 5 lessons in one, all right? So anyway, remember, we're a bit of a slow talker, so you need to go to that tools cog on the YouTube play bar and just click on that and go to the playback speed and like set it to 1.5 or 1.75 or even 2x speed, and you'll find the video flows a lot better. So this is 5 lessons in one. So all of these can be separate lessons. 1, just the basics of the clone stamp. 2, getting rid of background objects. 3, fixing photo bombers. 4, improving nightlife photos that you've taken. And 5, actually making identical twins. So each of those could be a lesson. So treat this as 5 lessons in one. It's going to be a very long video. And just take breaks. So there's a video timeline index if you go to in the video description, and yeah, you can just kind of finish, like this was a different video, but say you finish lesson 1 on these zoo photos and then leave the beach photos for another time, and then you can come back to the video anytime and just go to the description, and if you click on this 2626 blue number, that'll take you straight to that point in the video and you can start on the next lesson. All right, so I really suggest you do that. It's way too much work to do this in one big hit. So what are we going to learn? We're going to learn how to use the clone stamp, how to copy and paste a selected area from one part of the photo to another part of the photo using the clone stamp. And by that method, we can remove problem objects out of photos. We're going to learn how to fix blemish marks on skin just by making the clone stamp partly transparent, partly see-through, and that does that for us. And then we're going to use the Lasso selection tools as well as the clone stamp tool to get rid of some tricky objects that are in the background. We can create extra copies of objects in images to fill the image in better, which is kind of like the twins method where we're duplicating things. Remove photo bombers and background people from images, and have fun at the end there creating those identical twins. Okay. You can also repair and restore old family photos. We'll talk about that, but we may not actually do any because this lesson's so bumper full already. Now, there's plenty of images to practice with in the lesson download, so go to the video description and you'll get the link to the download. So we've got these pictures you can make into twins, ones where you can make more flowers in them, these flower pictures, some nightlife photos, 3 different nightlife photos there. We're going to do this one for you and you can practice on the other 2. Some music photos from a country music festival we did photos for, and the sand sculpture, and finally a PDF of the step-by-step instructions from this presentation. So you can use them without having to rewatch the video. Setting up the clone stamp tool. So first, what is the clone stamp tool and how do you set it up? Well, it's down near the Band-Aid tool, and it's kind of a cousin to the Band-Aid tool. We going to actually use both of these in this lesson, as well as the lasso tools here. But the main thing we're concentrating on is clone stamp. So it looks like an old-fashioned kind of ink stamp, a rubber stamp, where you can stamp things onto stuff. And it's that one. Now, if you push down on that in Photoshop, there is also the pattern stamp tool. So make sure you're not on that. You'll soon see that weird things happen if you are. Sometimes our students are on pattern stamp instead of clone stamp, and they have problems with that. So the clone stamp, it looks like the old-fashioned rubber stamp. And then make sure caps lock is off on your keyboard. That's another problem. It's very easy to hit the caps lock key and have them turned on. If you do have caps lock turned on, the clone stamp will behave unusually and it'll be hard to use. Now, we're going to be in the top right-hand corner. I think we've done this in previous lessons. If you click that down arrow here, we're going to just be working in essentials for this lesson. But I think in any of these other modes, all of those modes have the clone stamp available in them in any case. All right, but we want to be in essentials where we've got our clone stamp, our Band-Aid spot healing, and we've got our lasso tool, all right, because we're going to be using those ones extensively. Now, the way the clone stamp kind of works is it's a copy-paste tool. So we can take this black area that's enclosed with the circle kind of paintbrush tip here. That's how you see the clone stamp on your screen. It doesn't actually come up as a rubber stamp symbol. It's a round circle like that to start off with. We can actually copy that black there over this white light, which is above her head. All right, so to clean that background object up. So that's the basic. We're going to be copying black from there over the top of this white, which is here. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing first, just so we can learn to do the very basics of the clone stamp. Now, on the properties of the clone stamp, when you click on it, the properties will all come across the top of the Photoshop screen. We're going to need about size 75 for this image from the downloads. All right, so you can slide that to 75 or type it in here. Mode is just normal. Opacity is we want 100%. We don't want it see-through at all. We don't want any transparency or opacity, so you set that to 100%. Flow's 100%. These other ones are not turned on. Aligned is ticked, and sample current layer is what we're using, all right? So they're the settings you need to have up the top, and I think they're the default ones, so Photoshop's probably already got those set already. Excuse me. You click the down arrow here next to the paintbrush symbol to set it to 75, and make sure you've got a soft round brush. If you've got a hard round brush, it'll kind of stamp really hard circles on your screen. This one will make the stamping areas a little bit kind of fuzzy around the edge and make them blend into your photo better. So make sure you've got all of that set up. That's part of setting it up. And with your image, do view fit on screen first of all, just to make the image fill up the whole screen so we can see what we're doing. So view and fit on screen. There is also the magnifying glass tool, so you can use that to zoom in on areas. We'll need to do that when we fix up the skin on her arm later on. And also when you're using the magnifying glass, if you need to zoom out, you can just click up the top in the properties on this minus magnifying glass, and that will zoom it out. And plus will zoom it in, plus mode. And these minus and plus modes, excuse me, can always be accessed in Photoshop anyway by using the shift key. You can just instead hold down the shift key to put it in plus mode, and hold down the ALT key, the alt key, to put it into minus mode. So that's another way of doing that. But for us, just to get this to fit on the screen so we can get rid of that white thing, just view fit on screen will do the job for that. Now, the first step, we're going to demonstrate this in a live demo very shortly, but we'll just show it to you here so you can read through these instructions from the downloads later on and just jog your memory on how to do it. Now, the first step is once you're on the clone stamp tool, you just move it, this round circle, to the area you want to copy from. Now, to get the actual sample or to get the copy, what you have to do is hold down the ALT key on your computer, which is down the bottom left-hand corner near the Windows button. Push that down and hold it down and just click your mouse onto here. All right, and then you can take your finger off the ALT and you don't have to keep your finger on the mouse button. So that has now copied what's in that circle into computer memory. So that's kind of selecting the source. We now move our circle to where we want to copy over. So we've moved our circle just with our finger off the mouse button down to here, and it'll kind of show you a preview of what it's going to do. So it's showing us here that what this clone stamp will do, it won't do it yet, but when we click the mouse it will, is it's going to copy black over that white, and that's exactly what we want it to do. So the third step is to just click the mouse button, and when you click it, a plus sign will appear over here. Now the plus sign is telling you where it's copying from, so it kind of does your head in the first time you use the clone stamp tool, because you can be looking at two things at once. The plus sign is where it's copying it from, all right, and the circle is where it's copying it to. So when you click on this a couple of times, it's going to copy black from there over the top of the white there and get rid of that white circle. All right, now there's also some marks on the skin of the arm down here, and we can fix those with the clone stamp, but if we use it full strength, it's going to make these big round circles on our arm, and that's not what we want to do. So we need to go to our settings up the top and just reduce the size down to about 48. And set the opacity to 70%, and then it's going to be partly see-through. Now you could use 50%, 60%, we've just decided 70%. Don't go higher than that, but we've made it slightly see-through, and that's going to make fixing the skin a lot better. You always need to bring the opacity down whenever you're fixing skin. And what we can do is we can first just click here so that we're sampling that good skin. Then we move over here and we click, and it's going to copy that good skin over this kind of what looks like a little mosquito or insect bite or something here, because this was an outdoor concert, so maybe there were little bugs around, because it looks like there's a few little things there. So that you can click over there, and then you can move to here. All right, and hold down your Alt key and click to get that, and then paste it over this. So gradually you can fix up all that skin. And when you're finished, you should have nice smooth skin like this, all right? So that's what we'll be doing in the lesson. We'll be getting rid of this white thing and fixing up the skin on the arms, and we'll have to zoom right in with the magnifying glass to do that. Now, two problems which our students often have. So all of our lessons we're done here, we're working part-time teaching in a school. We're teaching multimedia. That's why there's so many multimedia videos at the moment on Adobe things. And I know people have been emailing and complaining that they want programming videos, but I don't have that much time to make these. So we're teaching multimedia and making multimedia videos. Maybe programming videos at the end of the year, maybe next year, certainly. So two problems when we've trialed this with students is that they have their caps lock on, or they're not holding down the Alt key when they're doing the first step, the copy from bit. So yeah, if you've got your caps lock on, what'll happen is that you'll see a plus sign here instead of the round circle to copy from. So we want the round circle originally to copy from. So make sure caps lock is off, and then it'll work just like we're saying it'll work in these instructions. It won't be all behaving strangely. And the other thing is that if you forget to do the Alt and you just start clicking, you'll probably get this error message, could not use clone stamp, because you haven't done your Alt click to get your source material that you're going to copy from. So you haven't done your copy from step. So if that comes up, it's no big deal. Just click the OK button and it'll go away. So the clone stamp is a copy paste tool. Just like in Microsoft Word, you know, you have to sort of select things with your mouse first and do edit copy. So the way you're selecting things with the mouse first, the equivalent is holding down the Alt key and clicked. So if you don't have your finger on Alt, it just says, hey, put your finger on Alt to select the from information. So that's all of that. You always select the source first, and then you do your pasting afterwards. Now, another thing is to remember that often we have to keep repeating the Alt and click to reselect. So you might sort of have some from here and paste it there, but then you want to get some from somewhere else. So you need to do Alt click again to do a new copy from, and then click over here to do new pasting. And the other thing is when you move around the screen, you'll have the plus symbol saying where you're copying from, and you'll have the round circle saying where it's going to copy to. And as you move the mouse, those things will move as well. So that gets a bit confusing for beginners, but just remember the plus source where you're copying from, and the round circle where you're going to copy to, they move around together like they're glued together. And to break that connection, you have to press Alt again and click to get a new source. But the best way to do this is to do the live demo and try and explain it a bit more clearly on that. And so this is lesson 1, just basic photo fixing with the clone stamp to copy over the top of things. And we're going to try and straighten out this edge, get rid of that white light, fix up the skin, and try and straighten this edge too. So it all comes out nice and neat like that. Clean skin and no white light up here is our objective. So let's get into Photoshop and let's do it. Okay, so we've got our image opened up in Photoshop, and the first thing to remember is to do View and Fit on Screen. Then we're getting on our clone stamp, and we were making it 75 or around that, fairly big. Make sure we got that soft round brush selected, and that is the one we've got. And then we're going up here and we're pressing down Alt. Now this stuff hanging around, if you just click anywhere up the top, that'll go away. Now we're pressing down the Alt key, all right, and clicking the mouse once, and then we're letting go. We're moving over here, and when we push down, notice we see the plus. It's telling us it's plussing it from there to here. So we can just keep clicking. So I'm clicking lots of times here. Might get rid of some of her white hair that's blowing out there as well. So we are just repeatedly clicking, and each time we click, it shows us, or if we hold down the mouse button, it shows us where we're copying from, all right? Now, that's that bit done. Now, if we want to straighten this up, we have to do a new select. So I'm holding down Alt, and I'm just clicking on this bit where it's straight. And notice when I move it, it kind of shows a preview of what's going to happen. So my finger is off Alt at the moment. My finger's off the mouse button, and I'm just trying to line that up so it's straight, and I'm doing a couple of clicks. I think it grabbed her hair there by the looks of it, and I'm doing a couple of clicks there, and I'm just moving along and I'm doing a couple of clicks here. Now I'm going to Alt to select in here, so I'm Alt clicking there, and then I'm clicking here. And now I'm going to have to Alt click there and there, and maybe come back because I got some of her hair in there somehow. And I think that is looking pretty straight now. Now this one here is even trickier to thing. I'm going to Alt click here to get black, and I'm just going to keep clicking over there to try and straighten that up a bit. And then when I've sort of got it straight, I'm going to take this straight section. And see how as I'm moving, it gives a preview? I'm just going to click here. So this is something you have to practice. You won't be able to do this straight away, maybe. Now I'm doing Alt click here, and I'm going to copy and paste that over the top of there. And I'm just doing it a few times. Alt click, then go here and paste. And look, you can spend a lot of time doing this, but that'll do for now, I think. I like to get these things right, but this one's being tricky. Just trying to get a straight edge there so it looks better. Right, now, onto the magnifying glass, and we're going to zoom right in on that arm. And you can use your hand tool here, this hand tool near the magnifying glass. If you grab that, it lets you move your picture around. All right, so maybe we'll even magnify one more time. Use my hand tool to move it around. And we've got a few things to fix there, but remember, we go back on the rubber stamp tool, but we've got to make it a lot smaller, like down in the 40s maybe, or the 30s even. And this opacity up the top, very important that we slide that back. So it's maybe only 70, sort of 60%, 70%. So I'll have it around 70% there. And the idea is we hold down Alt and we click here where there's some good skin from nearby. Right there looks good. And then we move and we click over this. And we do it a few times. So I'm just clicking to fix that. Here, I'm getting some good skin from nearby. I'm holding down Alt and I'm clicking. And then I'm moving down here. All right, I'm holding Alt again and getting good skin from here and going down there. All right, so I'm just doing little clicks. And here I'll go underneath, hold down Alt and click to copy from this area. And I'm going to copy it. See how the plus sign's showing up if I hold down the mouse? It's kind of copying it from down there. And then you just need to do a few random copies to kind of clean it up a bit. If you do too much, you start getting a round circle, which I'm getting there. But I think by the time we zoom out, if we go view and fit on screen, that's going to look all cleaned up and pretty good, except there looks like there's one little bit there. Okay, but that's pretty good, and that one's finished, and we can save it. So that was using the clone stamp tool to fix things, and the only way to learn how to do it is to get in there and have a go. And at first it'll be hard and confusing, but then, you know, it'll come good and you'll be okay. So that was 20 minutes. That's lesson 1 done. So we've got a couple of images you can practice on. Now, here's a couple of challenge. Task 1 is to take these other images which are available in the downloads, and just to use the clone stamp to click here to sample some black and paste it on top of these lights. All right, I want these lights in a row. That's why I took the photo like that. But we want to get rid of all of those other distracting problem objects. All right, and there are some little white lights next to the orange lights, which you can try and get rid of as well. In this second picture, we're getting rid of the microphone basically, and this one, and the little white dots that are near the lights. Now you might use the Band-Aid spot healing tool to do that, possibly. Might work a bit better. Now, excuse me, some of our students actually saw this guitar and saw it was all bashed up with the paint peeling off, and they decided they'd clone stamp paint over that and fix it all. But you don't actually do that. Don't ever do that on a music photo that you've taken, because this fact that it's all beat up and old, this is a guitar from the 1970s, and they have a really unique classic sound, and they are really good, and somehow they don't seem to have the same wood or electronics and be able to make them as good these days. So these are worth a lot of money. They're kind of like a you know how guys buy old Ford Mustangs and stuff because they're collector's items and they're really expensive? This is a collector's item, so you don't go fixing it up. It's kind of a high status thing, or shows that you're a really good musician who's been around, that commands top dollar, and that's why you're playing this expensive vintage guitar. So this guy, Rob Moody, is an Australian guitarist, one of the best Australian guitarists I've ever seen. He can play any sort of music. He was playing country music here with this country band. And this guy's a country singer, Morgan Evans, who was in Newcastle, and we were following him before he got big, but now he's in America, and in America he's going really well. And they're saying that Morgan Evans, if you know country music, you'll know Morgan Evans, and like they're saying he'll be the next Keith Urban and be really big in the US. But he's a really nice guy. He's just a regular Aussie guy from Newcastle. He goes surfing. Really great bloke, and it was really good when he was in Australia and we were working with him doing photos. All right, this is kind of lesson number 2 coming up now. So look, take a break, do the challenge task 1s, the basics of the clone stamp, and then take a break. And you might even decide to come back to the video another day, because this has been like a 20-minute lesson on its own. So just take a break and then use the video timeline index to come back to the next part. So take a break now. Okay, so welcome back, which is to effectively what is lesson 2. Now lesson 2 is kind of the same thing as lesson 1. We're just getting rid of some distracting things here. Passy in 2008. Oh, that was a while ago in my photography career. Yes, I foolishly left the date on my camera, so we need to kind of just clone stamp sand over the top of that to get rid of that. We need to get rid of these lights that are here for when it was nighttime. They had all the sculptures lit up. There's the head from another sculpture here next to Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf. So what's Red Riding Hood got a mini-me growing out of her arm or a shoulder? What's going on there? We need to remove that. We need to remove this, and it'll be a big job skillfully to remove that. Then we can make a big pile of sand to try and cover that fence and do a few other things. And when we're finished, we'll actually have a finished photo that looks a lot better than this original one did. We've cropped in here as well because we didn't need all this other stuff around it. Now, the trees, we didn't have many trees to copy here. So when we've copied them, it's kind of looked like fog in the forest, and smudged the bed spread a little bit there, the bed coverings. But that's kind of the best we could do with that. That was getting very difficult. But we'll have a go at doing all of this in a live demo very shortly. Now the thing is, when you're doing sky on a sunny day is actually darker at the top than it is at the bottom. This is a much lighter blue down here than the intense blue up here. And we're so lucky in Australia because we've got clean air where we get these beautiful blue skies, which you don't see in other countries that are all polluted. And what we've got here is you need to do your alt click here. Get sky nearby that's at the same level. So remember, always copy sky from nearby. Sky from nearby is what you need to remember. And that'll work out fine, especially now once you've selected that, if you keep going down and clicking or almost painting so that you're copying from here over to there over the lights, that'll work great, as we'll show you. If you get sky from the wrong place, like if you alt click down here and take some of this lighter blue sky, you'll soon see that it is lighter blue, because when you stamp it'll look like you've got a white sun in the sky there, and that's no good. All right, so that's the wrong way of doing it. Always get sky from the same level as the one you're copying from and to. Keep it at the same level, and the colors or intensity of the sky should be the same. So let's do a live demo. Now this took quite a long time to do to get it this good. So we might not get it this good, but we'll show you the key steps we were doing and do the first parts of them, and then you can get this from the downloads and go through the meticulous copying and pasting, especially getting rid of this lamp. That's quite tricky. And you can get it all fixed up. All right, so let's get across to Photoshop and do this one live for you. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop. We're on our rubber stamp. We need our opacity at 100%, and we need to make our rubber stamp bigger, maybe about size 60. Let's go view fit on screen, so this is all in the screen. Now remember, it's sky from nearby, so I'm alt clicking here, and then I'm moving across to there and I'm clicking. All right, I'm just clicking across to get rid of that. Then I'm coming down here and I'm alt clicking in here, sky at the same level. I'm moving across, keeping it the same level, and just doing that. And I can also go over the right hand side here, and I'm going to hold down Alt, ALT, and I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to click here. And so see, when I go down, even if I paint, it's getting sky from nearby if you watch the plus symbol. Okay, now we've got a bit of a problem with this round kind of thing that's from the pole next door, but we'll show you that in a minute. And then if I alt click here and I just paint down, that's kind of got rid of that pretty easily. And this pole over here, I can just alt and do that as well. Now I'll just go CTRL-Z to go backwards, because you can also use, remember this spot healing tool, which I think we've shown in other lessons. You can go on the spot healing tool and drag down for something like that pole, and that should do a good job of getting rid of it. And you can even stay on your Band-Aid spot healing tool, and rather than trying to do clone stamping here, just color in that light over there, and that'll take care of that. All right, we could even use it, I think, for this lettering on the writing, although sometimes when you do it like that, it kind of shows a square where it was. So I'm just going to go Control-Z, get back on the clone stamp tool, maybe make it a bit smaller here. And for this sand, I'm just going to randomly just alt click, get some of that, alt click here, get some sand. So I'm just alt clicking here. So I just keep alt clicking all over the place, alt to get some other stuff, put it in there. Just alt click here to get this sand, and just click, 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 click to put sand over the top of there. And that's got rid of the date. Now, how I got rid of the fence was, although I did crop this out later anyway, so I think we were just here, was just taking some sand and just carefully copying it up, like just alt click here, get some sand, and I'm just click, click, clicking, copying and pasting sand up the side here to make like what, kind of like a big pile of sand, okay? So we're just kind of, whoops, just alt click down here to get some sand, and just click, 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 click up here to paste it. Now, I won't do all of that because I think we're going to crop it anyway. Over here on the trees, just sort of alt click on this and just copy those trees across, because we got that problem with that ugly tin shed that was there. So again, see how we're getting that kind of forest mist happening, but I'm just alt-clicking anywhere in the green and just doing that. Now, I'm going to zoom in here to do this next bit. And remember, you can get on your hand symbol and move around. So this next part here, we're going to go onto the lasso tool up here, the lasso tool. And if you push down and hold, we're going to use the polygon lasso. All right. So we're going to change over to that kind of triangles polygon lasso. Now, how the polygon lasso works is, if I go here, I just click, and then I take my finger off the button, all right? Then I can move it and it goes in a straight line. So I'm going to follow the straight line of this bed covering to here, and I'm going to click again. And that kind of locks that in. Now I can move and click, move and click, move and click. So I'm just doing move and click, move and then click, move and then click, move and then click, move and then click. And how far can I go? Maybe all the way down to here. Not sure where that bedspread ends. Anyway, I'm going to go over there. Now I'm going to go right round the side of the picture. All right, move and click, move and click, move and click. So I'm kind of enclosing, and I'm just moving and clicking here. Move, click, move, click, move, click, move, click, move, click. Now, what if I do that? I think I can go Control Z. No, I can't go Control Z. I think you can on the other types of lassos. Move, click. Now, when you get to where you back started again, it should automatically go like this. So all of that area is selected. And the reason I've done that is because I want to use my rubber stamp now to take these trees, bushes, and just go Alt-click there and copy bushes into here. Now, see, when I'm copying, there's no way it's going to go on the bed covering, okay? By selecting this in here with the lasso tool, what I've done is I've confined everything to this area. So this is just like a little image I'm working on. And if I click over here, see how it won't copy it over there because that's not part of the selection. So what I've done is I've zoned this area off, and now I can safely just move and click around here. And of course, you do this a bit more carefully and a bit more detail, but we'll just kind of do that and put all trees in there. Now there's a bit of sand here. I'll try and put that over there. Sort of like that. Now, if I go view and fit on screen, all right, and then to get rid of all of this selection, it's all kind of ... flashy, if you just hold down CTRL key and press D for deselect. All right, so the CTRL key and the letter D on the keyboard, or you can go up to select and just go deselect, and see how they tell you the shortcut is CTRL and D. All right, and that's got that all done in there. And I think that's okay. Now, I'm not sure there's marks here. I've got some marks on this screen on this laptop. Unfortunately, the keyboard, no, they were just marks from the screen. All right, so that's okay. Now, there's a couple little bullet hole type things in here. I don't like them, so I'm just gonna get my Band-Aid tool this time, the spot healing tool, and click on those. And click on that. Now we've got kind of a shadow here. Now we're going to get our rubber stamp tool, and we're going to Alt click here, and then we're going to move it along, trying to keep that straight, and just click a couple of times there to get rid of that. Now this light is a problem. Let's try the Band-Aid tool, because it's pretty amazing the AI they've put into this. So if we paint that, that's done a pretty good job. There's a little white smear here, so you go back onto your rubber stamp tool and go over that. Now, I can show you now, the Band-Aid tool here, I don't think, when I tried this out before, it couldn't really figure it out, and it's kind of left some glitchy mess. So I'm just gonna go CTRL and Z and go backwards. This is a lot of slow and steady work with the Alt click with our rubber stamp tool. I've changed onto rubber stamp, and just Alt click some of this. All right, so you have to Alt click and just keep Alt clicking, copying and pasting stuff from over here. Alt click that bit, maybe paste it there, until you get rid of all of that. And here you've got to Alt click on this and kind of just copy over into there. All right, so this takes quite a while to do. Alt click there to get some of that white sand and put it kind of there. So yeah, this takes quite a bit of work to take this out. But once you've kind of randomly alt-clicked over all of that, see here, we've got these lines. If we alt-click here, when you move, you have to make sure your lines stay straight. So you move it carefully. It's showing you a preview, and you can move it up and down and see where the straight lines are. So see how that's straight now, right in there. That's when we click a few times, and that kind of fixes that up, all right? But anyway, we're not gonna finish it off because we've got to move along with this lesson. We're only on lesson number 2 out of 5. And then you just crop it in like this. Just get on your crop tool. You should know that from previous lessons. That's this one, the one with the squares and the bits hanging out the side. It's a square with bits hanging out the side, and then you can push down your mouse and grab onto these and move them and crop. And what we can do is kind of have that like that, or maybe we'll just even have it like that. All right, and that's our finished picture, and certainly much better than the original. Just need to finish that bit off. And there we go, we've got a nice sand sculpture picture. So let's get out of that and get on to lesson number 3. Okay, so challenge task 2. Use those same techniques with the Band-Aid tool and the clone stamp tool to take out these poles and these power lines and things like, just get a Band-Aid tool really small to go over those bright signs and things. You should be able to clean all this background up a bit and make it look a bit better, because it will help the car stand out better. The feature here is the car. You can also actually clone stamp over these lines here, or use your Band-Aid tool. See how that goes, just painting over these lines to take them out. Just so the car is the real feature of the story there, and the car stands out better. So that's a challenge task for this one. So that's lesson number 2 finished. So take a break now if you want to, and we'll get on to lesson number 3 of 5. Okay, this video is even working out longer than I expected. All right, so we're going to use the clone stamp tool on nightlife photos. So this is lesson 3. When you take nightlife photos with a flash, it does light up the background a bit. It's very hard to avoid that, even with these special sort of diffuser things you put on over the top of your flash. And we've got this kind of bright white light here where the flash kind of reflected off their skin, because I think they've been dancing or they're sweaty, so it's very reflective. And we just need to fix that up the same way we fixed up that girl's arms. And we're going to use arm in the music photo. We're going to use the Band-Aid tool, our good old polygon lasso, regular lasso, and the clone stamp tool to do all of this. So that's the first thing, getting these white dots on the skin and on the end of the nose, as you often have them. So we make a semi-transparent. Remember, drop the opacity down, in this case to about 35% to do these ones. Then we got this big hairy arm here. That's what the hell that thing is. Some bloke's hairy arm is lined up to get a drink at the bar. And we've got these chrome bottoms from these stools that were here, so we can get rid of those and take them out of the picture. And here, this poor girl's got Aladdin's lamp growing out of her head, so we need to use our lasso tool and stamp over that to get rid of it. And this other poor lady, she's got the big orange square light growing out of the back of her head, so we need to remove that as well. There's some goofy guy here looking, going, "Oh, someone taking a photo." Yeah, you were supposed to just keep doing what you're doing. But anyway, we can just get rid of him out of there. He was sort of a photo bomber, and that's all that. So I'll show you how to do all of this in a live demo, because we need to move the lesson along. So we're trying to go from this one, the original one, to this much improved one, which is fine to use in a night photos album that you're making for the client, for their venue, to promote people to come to their venue and have a good time. So let's get into Photoshop and get on with it. Okay, so we're in Photoshop. We need to do View Fit on Screen. Now, again, this takes quite a while to do, so look, I'm just going to do it as quick as I can here because I'm aware of the time. We're just using the magnifying glass to go in there, maybe not in that much, so I'm going to go on to minus magnifying glass up the top here and go back a couple of steps. And this is always hard to decide, maybe in a little bit. So we can use these sliders down the bottom. Right, we need to get rid of these white bits. So we're on our clone stamp tool and we need to make the opacity, change it right down to about 35% or so when you're doing this sort of work, mid 30% to make it quite see-through. And for this first bit on the heads, actually make it really big like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to hold down Alt and click here, and we're just going to go click and see it's only partly covering it. It's kind of like her putting some makeup over the top, I guess. And we're just clicking and getting bits from random locations to try and blend it in. And we'll try go over her hair a bit there as well, and down to this eyelash because her hair was kind of hanging down. So you kind of have to Alt click and kind of randomize it a bit, or it'll be obvious that you've done stuff. Now we'll have to get right down in size here, and we're going to take this from the side of the nose. So we're Alt clicking here, and then we're taking our finger off and we're clicking here, and see how it's copying that. Now we can even paint up and down. Now we don't want to make that exactly the same color, or we lose the kind of three-dimensional effect of her nose. And here we'll just Alt copy from here and just click a few times just to fix up that dot on the nose. So I'm just Alt clicking, and this will just take you guys practice to do, but I'll try and do this fairly quickly. It's not going to look good because I'm rushing. This is something you need to take your time with. I'll make my stamp bigger and just try and stamp over this a bit, and then just Alt click, Alt click, Alt click, randomize. Here we've got some things, a little bit of white there. And same thing on this girl. We're just going to go over these little dots on her nose, this lady. We're going to Alt click here to sample that and just put it over the top of there and up into there. And then here we are going to Alt click there, and then we should be able to kind of paint down almost like Sky from Nearby that we did on the sandcastles. Alt click here and kind of paint down there, and then just do a few Alt click random type things. And look, by the time we zoom out, Alt click here, do that. It's probably not going to look too bad. So let's go view fit on screen. And yeah, from a distance, by the time you get it loaded up to Facebook and people looking at this big, it'll be fine. I could fix that up more, but I won't. What we're going to work on now is zooming back in, and we've got to get rid of this yellow light. So I'm just using this side scroll bar here to move up and down. We've got to get rid of this yellow light on her hair. So we need to change to the Lasso tool. So just click here and get on the regular Lasso tool. And I'm going to carefully just try and go up the side of her hair like this. Okay, into where that big slab of expensive green granite is. And back down here. Now here I need to sort of go straight and then come back in. And when I meet up, I've had my finger down on the mouse button the whole time I've been doing this. Now I let go and it should join it all up. So this area is all enclosed now. And I get on my rubber stamp, I just put it back up to 100% on the opacity, go pretty big on this, and should be able to Alt click and just keep Alt clicking. I'm just Alt click there to get some of that, and I'm just click, 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 click. I'm just pasting granite from there onto there. All right, and that's kind of got rid of that light. And if I go back to my home base select tool here and just go select up the top and deselect, or you can go Control D. Now, unfortunately, there's some orange glow in her hair, and this is going to be very difficult to get rid of. So we're going to have to zoom right in. We're going to have to get that lasso again. And okay, I'm going Control Z and trying, because I'm going to have to try and make it look like, so this is really hard, and I was hoping it wouldn't be this hard, but we're going to have to kind of go along her hair like that. And we're going to have to take off some of her hair, make our rubber stamp a lot smaller. Kind of like this, maybe. We're going to have to kind of stamp in there and actually take some of her hair off. Like that. We need to get over those things. So I'll just Control D. Oh no, that doesn't look good. Maybe we can rubber stamp some hair back in there. But this always hair's very hard to do, and maybe we can rubber stamp some of that there. So it's going to be a little bit fuzzy around her hair. She's also got some horrible beer tap coming out of her hair as well. Here we might just Alt-click on that and not worry about lassoing the area off, okay? Because if we kind of do this and fuzz up her hair a bit like that, it's probably going to look okay by the time we zoom out. All right, so these things can get really tricky, but that's okay now. Now, for this stupid guy who's looking over here, oh, I guess he's not stupid. He's got every right to look across, I suppose. We're just going to kind of go around him to isolate that area, get our rubber stamp, and we're just going to go in here and paint and Alt-click in this black area and just get rid of all of him, and Control D. Now to get rid of that lamp on her head, same sort of things we did with the other girl, we're going to have to get some sort of, I don't know what it is, it looks like a space helmet. I don't know what that is. Probably, let's give it a go with the polygon lasso this time. So we're getting here and we're going move and click, move and click, move and click, move and click, but we don't want her head to come out square. Move and click, move and click, just so it's might be a bit easier and more accurate. Then we're going to have to move right into this black area. So we've got black areas to paste over. Come back here and click and it should join up like that. Then we'll just get on our clone stamp and we're just going to copy all this black stuff here. And notice because we've zoned off that area with the lasso tool, her head's all protected and it's not stamping into her hair at all. And we've got rid of that Aladdin's lamp, spaceship helmet, Control and D to finish up, view and fit on screen. We've still got the bloke's arm to do, but something else I'll show you is just get on the Band-Aid tool, and with that you should be able to like trace around these and just paint over them holding the mouse button down with the Band-Aid tool, then let go and they should go away. I'll make that a little bit bigger. There's some marks on the ground here. Just click there, hopefully it doesn't mess up her arm. We're just Band-Aid tooling here to our heart's consent. Band-Aid tool, maybe we could even Band-Aid tool some of these out. No, we can't. Control Z. I thought I'd tried that. Right, now, this bloke's arm, what happens if we just Band-Aid tool, paint over that like crazy? Will it realise we want black there? It will, so that's kind of pretty good. Just click the Band-Aid tool a few times on that reflection on her glass. It's not a ring she's wearing. We could just go over that and go over this bloke's ear and go over the top of his head there. Right, and that's pretty good. The one other thing we did do was we just got on our regular lasso tool again and we kind of went right round this sort of edge as best we could, kind of up into here, across there, through that girl's black hair, down to here, over to here, right up, and back around, joining, what do you want to join up? Kind of down there and let go. So we've got all of that. You can go filter and blur and do some Gaussian blur and just maybe a radius. So if you do too much blur with Gaussian blur, it's going to look all fake. But we could just blur that out a bit more in the background just to help them stand out. And then we can also go image adjustments, brightness, contrast, and pull that back, because it's a real pain. If there's someone in a white shirt, it's pretty hard to fix. So we could just kind of make that all a bit darker as well. And then if we Control D and finish off, yeah, that's looking much better than it did before anyway. And that's good enough now to post in a nightclub album. I just would like to maybe even trace around her hair carefully and put black over those cups. But anyway, that's enough for that. That's finished that. We've been going 50 minutes and we've done 3 lessons and we've got 2 to go. So take a break. Oh, don't take a break yet, because we're going to give you the challenge task. All right, so you can try that one out for yourself. And then the challenge task for this one, nightlife photos, is here's a photo, and you just need to fix her nose, basically. Those white marks there. Or you could try do the white marks there, but they're not bad, and they're showing her cheekbones. This guy, just do the white dot on the end of his nose. With guys, don't try and take away their wrinkles or clone stamp over that. Because it doesn't look good if guys have their wrinkles and stuff taken away, because then they look like they're wearing makeup, and yeah, guys will actually complain about that when they see themselves in photos. And we got another one you can get from the downloads with the typical things: white spot on the nose, bit of white here, a little bit of white on her head. Some girl in the background here that you should be able to just stamp black over. Fade out these guys in the background, fix those chrome stools the same way we did it. I think I even fixed this threads hanging down on her dress here as well when I did this one for the client. I used to do a lot of nightlife photography, but I've sort of haven't been doing that for about 3 or 4 years now. All right, so photo bomber. Take a break now. This is lesson 4. We're getting there, and then come back when you're ready. Do the challenge task, and then maybe call it it for the day, and come back another day and just look up in the video description timeline index where we start photo bomber, and click there on that time, and it'll take you straight to the video right here. Okay, so we can use everything we were using for those nightlife photos. We can actually use that for photo bombers as well. So this is of famous US celebrity Ellen DeGeneres. And I hope she doesn't mind me using this for educational purposes. Copyright law though, I think I'm okay, because as long as I'm not trying to sell this fixed image of her, and I'm trying to make money off selling an image of her, I don't think I'm breaching copyright, because it's for education purposes. That's my understanding of the law here in Australia anyway. I did have some photo bombers of my own from when I was doing nightlife photos, but they're all on this hard drive that's about 4 years old, and I can't find it anywhere. I don't know where it is. I've got all the finished ones up in the cloud and stuff, but the original ones that had the photo bombers in them, I can't seem to find one. So I just Googled celebrity photo bomb. So you don't have to do this one of Ellen. If you just Google celebrity photo bomb or photo bomber, if you just type in Ellen photo bomber, you'll find this picture pretty quickly, because I think it's fairly famous, because that's Kelly Clarkson, a famous country singer at the Music Awards or something, photo bombing Ellen and Ellen's friend here. And we're going to fix that photo up. Now, to get yourself a copy of that photo, go to Google Images, put in Ellen photo bomber, then you have to click on that photo. So you click on that photo, and then it'll open up in this box on the right hand side of your screen. Right click on it in that box and go open image, a new tab. A new tab will open up the top. Sometimes it has a really weird name on it, but if you just click on this tab here, it'll go across to that picture, and then you can right click and save image as to get it onto your device. Sometimes though, these images that are on the internet aren't JPEG, they're GIF or something else, and you can't save them and open them in Photoshop. If that happens at this stage, just use your snipping tool, the Windows snipping tool, trace round it and save it as a JPEG. One way or another, you can get a copy downloaded onto your device and then open up that saved image in Photoshop CC, all right? And we're going to take out the photo bomber and fix it up. So we use the quick selection tool here because it's a lot faster than using the lasso tool, and we've used that in previous lessons. So you click on the quick selection tool, which looks like this, a paintbrush with a select around it. Make sure it's on a very small size, only like about 4, like a little dot almost, and click on the select subject button, which is Photoshop's AI, which is supposed to select the main people in the image, which normally would have selected these 2 people we want, but it's kind of selected her as well because it looks like she's joined on at the shoulder. It looks like we've got 3 people here, and we have. But that's okay. What you do now is you just slowly and carefully change from plus and minus modes on that brush to subtract away. So you go into minus mode with a very small brush size. It's important you only have like about 4 or so. And you just push down your mouse, and if you paint like madly in here, these will gradually come in and should become deselected, and you can eventually get it so that only these two people that we want are selected, and we'll show you that in the live demo. And then you just go select inverse, because we actually don't want these people, we want the whole background but don't include them. So when we do that, we've got the whole background selected, and these people are now protected. The same way we protected that bed covering in the sandcastle one, same way we were protecting the girl's head in the nightclub one when we removed the Aladdin's lamp that was on her head. That was kind of like a photo bomber, really, and we're using the same techniques here. So now all that's selected, and we can just clone stamp black all over that photo bomber, clone stamp black over the TV screen, this guy's head, we'll show you. The first thing though, before we do that, is we just go image adjustments, brightness, contrast. So we're just going to lower the brightness of that whole background. And because they're not part of this selection, they don't get affected. They stay nice and bright. But we actually took it right down to -70 and clicked OK. And the next thing we did was we, while it was still selected, we went filter blur, Gaussian blur, which is the adjustable blur, took the radius to 2 just to blur that background. You can see already it's looking better because she's blurred out. And then we got busy with the clone stamp tool, just stamping black all over her and these other things which are circled here. And then we cropped it to get this final image, all right? So we went from this before image with the photo bomber and people you could see in the background, this bloke's white hat or whatever it is, this TV screen, a bloke's ear there, which looks weird, and cropped it down and got this one as our final after one. All right, so we'll do a quick live demo and show you most of the steps in there, but not all of them, because we are making this a very long video at the moment. But let's get into the live demo and show you the quick selection tool and how we did that first part of it, because that's probably a little bit tricky. Okay, so here's the photo we downloaded, got from Google Images, and just open it up in Photoshop and done the good old view fit on screen. Now, the quick selection tool is this one here. So right next door to the Lasso tool. We don't want to be on magic wand. If a magic wand showing, just push down, and there's a new one, object selection too, this square box. So it might show up as a square box with the arrow. Just push down. We want quick selection tool, paintbrush with the dots around it, that one right there. Now, we also want to set in the properties that it's in plus mode at the moment. So this one's clicked on, and the size, we're just making it really small, like type in here 4, just a really, really tiny size, all right? And then just click up the top here to make that box go away. And rather than us trying to quick select and drag round, we're going to use the AI of Photoshop and use the select subject. So we push that button, you can see Photoshop's thinking about it for a while, and it's doing not a bad job. It's got this goofy bloke's head here. Here's another photo bomber, this bloke here, and of course our main photo bomber. So now you can click the -1 up here to get into minus mode, but I just hold down the ALT key, just put my thumb on the ALT key and leave it there. And basically I'm just pushing down my mouse and painting, like painting in here to remove her. So I've got the ALT key held down, or you could be clicked, and see how it's clicked on minus mode? So you can just click minus mode up the top left-hand corner here, so it's in minusing mode. So what I'm doing is I'm removing all this other stuff and trying to drag it back. Now, here's a problem, that it's can't tell the difference between her jacket and all of that. So now I'm taking my finger off ALT or going back to plus mode, and I'm just going to drag here slowly. This is why you use the small paintbrush, because the small paintbrush size 4 will be very sensitive. And what I can do is, that's pretty good now. I've taken her out. Ellen looks great. But her friend, there's this goofy guy here. So what I'm going to do is get into minus mode again, just by putting my thumb on ALT or my finger on ALT and just leaving it there. And I'm going to drag that in, and the small paintbrush size 4 is essential for this. This old bloke's head, I can just hold down the Alt to go into minus mode and carefully go along the side here. And now it looks pretty good. I think I've just got Ellen and her friend. I could drag in there just to do that. Oh, we've lost her legs. All right, so I'm just in normal plus mode now, dragging back in. So painting over that. All right, so if I go around the outside here, I've got Ellen and her friend, and it's probably a lot easier and quicker doing it that way. Not 100% sure about that shoulder. Oops, lost a thumb. Yeah, hang on, I haven't got... Oh, I'll need Ellen's friend's hand. So I'm just dragging around in plus mode and getting that. So yeah, it's a good idea just to go all the way around the outside and make sure you've got everything outlined. See, in there I could paint. But yeah, that's okay now. All right, so we've got all of that. Then remember you go select and inverse, and now you've got that all selected. Then we did the image adjustments, brightness, contrast, pull that right back to say about 70, went okay, did image, did filter and then blur and then Gaussian blur. Very mindful of the time here. Put that sort of round about the 2 mark, and that's okay. Then you can get on your clone stamp tool, and as big as you like, I'm just going to use monster size here. See there, I hadn't pressed the Alt key, so it gave me that message, so I just click that, okay, put my finger on Alt and leave it there, click a big black area here, and I can just paint over her, and see how it doesn't leak onto Ellen or a friend at all. So here we go, we're just alt-clicking, alt-click up here to get some of that, paint it down into there, there's some red stuff there, blah, 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 alt-click here to get some black, put it over that screen, there's a lady's head here we can get rid of. Now there was some trickery I think in here, I have to go forward because my screen's tilted and I can't see very well. I had to make the clone stamp smaller, and I think that guy, there's a guy in a blue shirt or something, and had to kind of extend his shirt down so it looked like he had the blue shirt with a pair of pants on. Anyway, there's a bit of fiddling around with him. This guy's stupid white hat, just get rid of that. You want to leave some people in the background, you don't want them there. That bloke's ear, this kind of, I don't know what that was in there. All right, and then you can crop it with the crop tool and that'll all be done, and that's good. And let's get on to the last lesson here. All right, so a challenge task for you. Actually, one of my students found these pictures. You put in dog pooping photobomb into Google Images, and there's lots of dogs that have ruined a photo by deciding to go poopies, because when they've been running around outside, they often need to take a poopy, and outside's the place to do it. But anyway, you should be able to clone stamp grass over the top of that dog and have the nice romantic picture of walking into the sunset or whatever. Here you might have to use the polygon lasso to click along here, and then click, click, click right there. So you've only got this area selected. So when you're stamping the sand over the dog, it won't leak onto his jacket at all. So remember, just click, move, click with your polygon lasso to enclose an area here, and then you'll be able to do that. Here should just be easy, able to copy sand from there over on top of that dog and blend it in just by a lot of random alt clicks. Here you could put some of the fence over the dog and some grass. Some of these are tricky though, because the dog's between grass and a stone wall, so that one might be hard. This one might be difficult to remove as well. But anyway, plenty of those ones to do. That can be your photo bombing exercise challenge task 4. And that's lesson 4 of 5 done, and we've been going 1 hour and 5 minutes. So we're going to try and get lesson 5 wrapped up quickly and get this done. But, you know, certainly if you need a break, now's a great time to take it. Do some challenge tasks. Google photobomb celebrity. Find another celebrity that's been photobombed and fix that picture up. Certainly good practice you'll need if you're going out and taking nightlife photos of people, because there's always going to be clowns photobombing. And the funny thing is that you just don't even worry about it anymore, and you take the photo with them in it, and they think, oh, I've ruined the photo with my photo bomb. And then you just sort of fix them up so they're not there. And I actually had guys, when I was working at this nightclub, I'd come back the next week and this guy'd say, hey, I photobombed the picture and I'm not in the picture. And I'd go, no, don't remember anything about that, mate. It's so funny. Anyway, so take a break and come back using the video timeline index, and we'll do the last bit and get this wrapped up. Okay, lesson 5 of 5. So here's the 5th lesson, actually making twins, which is fun. I used to do this to my son. This is my son AJ when he was really young, and we went to America for a holiday. And I think we're at Knott's Berry Farm, staying at the resort where they got all these swimming pools and stuff for kids. But the main thing's the roller coasters. Oh, you've got to go to Knott's Berry Farm in California, and there's a big water park across the road as well as this little water park in the hotel. Great place, easily spend a couple of days there, really good fun. But I used to make these twins photos of him just for fun. It used to really annoy him, and that's the main reason I did it, because it's fun to annoy your son, have a bit of banter. So yeah, we sort of had his twin brothers, because I'm actually a twin and had a twin sister, so I'd always joke around, oh, I wish you'd had an identical twin brother, AJ. But anyway, but we can make a twin brother for him very easily with Photoshop, and it's a bit of fun. And we'll also show you an actual useful application of making twins, making duplicates of objects after this. So the thing about making twins is you need to hold down Alt and do your clicking, and then you need to just, with the plus sign, move around the original object. Don't even look what's happening over here. So you Alt click here, then you go here and get your round circle and push down your mouse. But when you're moving the mouse, you're actually watching the plus sign go all around the outside of this one, all right? You're not even looking what's happening over here. So you're just looking at the copy from and moving around there until you've got all the way around the outside like this, and then it gets easy. That's a hard bit, because you have to hold down the mouse and do this all in one go. So if you make mistakes, you'll have to just Control D or Control Z and try again. And then once you've got the outside done, it's really easy, because then you can just then you can just look over here at this one. So first we're looking at this existing one and tracing around the outside. Then you have to keep your mouse button held down still. But then it's just quick paint, paint in the middle here to paint it all in, and you've got your identical twin. Now when that happens, of course, when we're tracing around, you might get something like this. There's a bit of trees here on the side of his head. So here, we couldn't get the side of the head perfectly, and we've got some bushes there that have come over here. So you'll have to, Alt, use your lasso tool, your polygon lasso, and move, click, and just kind of tidy that up at the side there. So you might have a little bit of that to do. So this was the before, and we also had a photo bomber in this. Some random little kid was following AJ around, chasing him, saying, come here and play. And we didn't even know who this kid was. Didn't know where their parents were. But anyway, this kid latched onto AJ like an older brother. And so we had to take the kid out first, then do the twins. So let's just show you how we did that and get this lesson wrapped up. Oops, we don't want to look at that yet. That's the next bit. All right, so one more live demo and let's get into it. Okay, so here is AJ. And let's get on the rubber stamp. Now what we need to do here is first get rid of the photo bomber. So I'm holding down Alt and I'm clicking just there, and see how when you move it, it goes in a straight line. So I'm just trying to keep it in a straight line there to keep that path going. And then I'm Alt dipping here and just clicking over them. And that's what you have to do. You have to kind of keep Alt dipping new locations, Alt dip over here, then click on there until they're sort of out of the way. And just here you have to do a little bit more like that. Now we've still got the little kid's head there. We'll have to Alt click here on the bottom of the hedge and try and move along and keep it straight. And just kind of click there to get rid of the kid's head. And then we were missing some stepping stones, so I just took this one here and just copied and pasted another one there. All right, now we're ready to look at AJ and clone stamping him. So we need to move to a much smaller size. Make sure, of course, your opacity is on 100%, even smaller than that. Maybe even a little smaller than that. So the idea is you Alt click, and I'm just going to Alt click here on his ear. Now I move over where I want to make AJ number 2, and I push down the mouse and be ready for a long trek here. So I'm not even looking on the left hand side, I'm just watching this plus sign and I might kind of just stop. I've got my finger on the mouse the whole time and just see how it's going. But what I'm trying to do, and I'll do it really quick here and not too carefully, but I'm trying to just go all around the outside of him. Okay, and I just look over it every now and then and check I'm going okay. But I'm mainly looking at this right-hand side, and I'm following the plus sign, and I'm using the plus sign to go all around the outside of young AJ here. AJ's in his 20s now, so this is when he was really little. And yeah, it was just done with a really cheap phone. You can see the quality's not good. We just bought a phone at the airport to use because it was way too expensive to try and use your normal phone. We just bought a cheap phone at the airport and got a prepaid in it, and away we go. But it didn't have a good camera in it. Now that we've been all around the outside, then it's easy. You look on the left-hand side and you're just watching the round circle. We're not even looking at the right-hand side anymore. We're just using the round circle to color in, color in, color in, color in, color in, color in. All right, until you've got all of little AJ there colored in. Here we go. Twinnies are coming, twin. He always wanted to be a twin. He wanted to have a twin brother. They could have big play fights together and mess up the whole house, running around trying to beat each other up and really upset their parents. All right, now, what do we do now? Because we've got this problem of leakage out of the sides, and I'm just thinking on the fly here, maybe I could just get the quick select tool, and maybe it'll be smart enough to grab young AJ. Oops, I have to go into minus mode and take that out. But I'm thinking maybe it'll select little blondie boy there, and it sort of has. So I'll go select inverse, kind of like we did in that Ellen photo, and just get the rubber stamp tool and kind of just, yeah, stamp some grey in there, because we've got to get rid of all of that bushes and stuff which came in. So yeah, stamp some blue over there. We won't do all of it. Let's just do Control D. Yeah, you can see that was sort of getting rid of it. But yeah, it's a bit of work to get rid of that. Now the pole, if you use just your Band-Aid tool on that, that'll fix that. Fix that thing up in the background there. Maybe even make those bushes go up more. Some little bits of dirt on the ground, just click on them with the Band-Aid tool. And look, that's pretty much done, and you can fix that, and we better get this lesson wrapped up and finished. So yeah, that's kind of making twins. That's fun, and that was the technique for that. Now the twins method is also useful. We took this photo at a flower farm, but we were kind of missing sunflowers in this area, and it would have been nice to have more sunflowers down in this area. So we got an empty area there and an empty area there. So what do? Well, we actually traced around some sunflowers here, the same way we did the AJ twins, and made twins over here, which you can't really recognize that much. See these two, they're actually being twinned up over in here to fill up that empty gap. And down in here, maybe I should have put it a bit further up, but in that empty gap, we've actually twinned this one, I think. But when you take a quick look at it, you think, oh yeah, beautiful. There's just lots of sunflowers there. Maybe you could even put another one in here. Take this guy and twin him up in there or something. But yeah, we just filled it up a bit more with flowers because it was looking a bit empty. And the challenge task for you is you can make another twin AJ here if you want to. And you could also, this was in Hoi An in Vietnam, one of my favorite places, great place. Now, Vietnam didn't have great coffee, but this Hoi An Roastery, this place here, highly recommended, best coffee in Vietnam. But there weren't enough lanterns in the sky down this section of the street, so no problem. We just did a lot of twinning here and fill the sky up with lanterns. So if that's your thing, you could try it on this one. Just twin up a few of these to fill in the gap of another string of lanterns running across. Or if you like more flowers in the picture, trace around this one and twin it up a few times to fill that up with a few more flowers in the picture. So that'll let you practice twinning if that's your thing and that's what you want to do. It can also be used for repairing old photos. So these spot healing tool, clone stamp tool, you can fix up old photos, and this can be very profitable work. I know a guy down the coast who's been doing this for a while, and you can charge $10 a photo, $10 a photo basically, and someone gives you their old family photographs they've found taken back in the old country or whatever, that were put away in a box and got all crumpled up, and you can fix them up and make them look brand new, and also give them a black and white toning rather than an old brown sepia toning. And yeah, then they can print those out and get them framed, and they'll pay you like $10. Some people even pay $20 a portrait. So that's really good business. So the clone stamp tool, very well worth learning. We've seen 6 different reasons now, 5 lessons plus the fixing up vintage photos. And it's the difference that makes a difference, knowing how to use these tools. I don't expect you to do everything I just did in this lesson with the clone stamp straight away, because you're a beginner, but you'll find the more you use it, the better at it you get, like doing anything. And it's the difference that makes a difference. I was at this blues festival, lots of people took photos of this guitarist because he was the main act. EHB, Eugene Hideaway Bridges, the next BB King, fantastic blues guitarist. But see, they had these silly flashing lights, lots of microphones and stuff all over the place. So it looked really junky, and no matter what angle you went at, you couldn't get a good shot. But with the clone stamp tool, we were able to stamp that side there and like get rid of all of these background distractions and have a far better cropped picture like this. And this was a picture that was used for the press release in the newspapers and everything like that. And it was my picture, not the other people who hadn't bothered clone stamping the distractions out and making a really good picture out of it. So it's the difference that makes a difference. It'll get you paid work where other people are just snapping with an expensive camera and just not photoshopping them, not worrying about it, and not doing that is not good enough, and that's as simple as it is. So have fun with Photoshop, up your skills. Give this video a big thumbs up like, because it's been 5 lessons in one. 5! Talk about value. 5 lessons in one, and subscribe to our channel because we're always doing videos about IT. We'll be doing more Photoshop and Lightroom and Adobe Animate ones, and sometimes we'll even get back around to doing computer programming ones. But subscribe, 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 and we'll see you in the next lesson.